There we go. How about
That's
now?
better. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Better, right? What's going on? I think somebody's trying to tell us something that we shouldn't be doing this Q&A session, right? So, viewers out there, I'm very fortunate and very privileged to have my first ever guest on these 20 minutes Q&A with Podcast Paul. Actually, Ian, the guy who's with me today, he's the originator of the Podcast Paul tagline. So yeah, thanks, mate. So, guys, let me introduce you to Ian. I've known Ian for a number of years, and he's just a wonderful, wonderful guy. And he's very kindly agreed to come on and share his recent podcast story. So, Ian, before we go any further, mate, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody out there and explain a little bit about what you do?
Okay, well, thanks for inviting me on, your first guest. No pressure whatsoever. Yeah, yeah, I mean, my journey, I'm a business coach by trade, but started a very specifically LinkedIn marketing business about 3 years ago. And wasn't it, we were chatting a while ago. Oh, how long ago was it now? We were talking about this as an idea and, looking to try and develop. It's
about March last year, right? March? Yeah,
but
like that.
From the start. But then it was,
yeah,
because I'd never really considered it. I thought, I consider myself, I'm a marketing coach by trade. So looking at all the different traditional angles of marketing, and with us building up the sort of the Ninja brand. There's some ninjas in the background. It was, right, they fly into the shadows of your LinkedIn profile, do all the work so you get on and do what you need to do. And then all of a sudden was this random idea, thought, well, let's start a podcast, because then that's part of the education. It fits with the brand. It fits with the edutainment, as we call it. Half a bit of education, bit of entertainment, and it's just a natural progression. But it's been so much fun doing it as well, and surprisingly, I sound this the wrong way, but surprisingly easy as well. Once you get the hang of it, and once you get it set up and get it started, and you've done your research, so that you know that there is a market there for it, and how are you going to position it? Oh yeah, we have great fun doing it, and all the team are involved now in it. They were frightened to death when I first started to talk to them about it. No, I can't do that.
I'm not doing that. but you're absolutely right. That's I've been very fortunate over the past kind of couple of months to work with a number of different clients, and they have, to a T, had exactly the same experience as you. Whereas they really want to get into it, but I think a lot of people misunderstand the amount of work that's required at the front end. When you've done that and you've kind of done your setup and you've got past the first hurdle, the majority is fun time, right? So that's kind of the journey that you've been on as well, right?
Exactly as you said, and I think it was perhaps a little learning, wasn't it, from the first part, was to probably do a little bit more research, isn't it? So get the real core of what we're gonna do. What's the whole point of it? Why are we going to educate? Are we going to make it fun? How long are we going to make it? How often are we going to make it? What sort of things are we going to talk about? And hopefully things that people will find interesting. So I think that took a little bit of a while, didn't it, initially, to get your ninja marketing in 10 minutes. So we thought, all right, well, I'll play with it, weren't we? But it was all having a bit of fun to say, well, there's enough. The research had said, well, there's enough people out there talking just about LinkedIn. But there didn't seem to be anybody that talked about marketing using the platform, if that makes sense. People will tell you, right, you need to do this, you need to set your profile up, you need to do that. But I thought, well, that's fair enough. But at the end of the day, the reason why you would be using it is to learn how to apply marketing techniques, and that's just a channel to deliver it with. So that was our sort of a bit of a niche that we do it with.
Yeah, and look, I've been very fortunate to be able to work with you, as you've got up and running, and I've seen you go through the highs and the lows, and I don't know, I'm not sure what I'm doing here to you record your first one. And I know you were talking about the research and all that type of stuff, but I think more important than that, when you look to launch the podcast, the key things that you have to get right is, yes, you've got to do your market research, you've got to find your niche market, but you also have to make sure that your brand values are matched in your podcast, right? And that goes as far as the artwork and the intro and the outro music, right? Because I know that you had a couple of artworks who went, well, I'm not sure, that really doesn't match, and the intros and the outros, right? So as well as the the research, you need to make sure that your brand values also come through in the podcast, right?
Exactly, and how it like I said, how it all fits together. So, like you said, once we'd got the image, which I thought was a bit of an odd one. Me looking at I thought, what's all that about? And looking at, but it just worked, didn't it? We thought, oh, this looks great fun. This does. It's 10 minutes. The whole theory behind it was, let's give value, let's show people what to do with stuff, but let's have a bit of fun around it. Let's talk around some different aspects to it, and then, like I say, having a fun with, there's so much fun you can have with ninjas. I mean, it sounds a bit bizarre when the podcast first starts with all all the whipping going on and all that, but that's our ninjas.
Into, right?
Well, somebody did say that to me when they first tuned in, but then all I can hear is this wah, wah, this whipping going on in the background. But it's just part of our fun brand, that is the ninjas that, I'll say, fly into the shadows of your profile and do all their work, like the silent assassins. So that, all linked into the 10 minutes ninja marketing in 10 minutes. So yeah, we're having great fun with it.
So I can tell the story that I felt when I first launched my, because I've got 2 podcasts going at the moment and a couple of live streams. But I don't want to tell that story. What I'd love if you could just share what it felt like for you when you first saw your podcast, because I'm a lad from North Wales, right? I'm a very humble lad, and to see my podcast on Apple and Spotify and Amazon and the like was just an incredible feeling. How was it for you? Because you're a well-known in your industry. You've had a lot of highs, but how did it feel when you went, oh my God, that's my podcast on Apple and Spotify? What was the feeling like for you when you're getting your first download and all that type of stuff?
Well, you're going through all the setup, aren't you? And you're thinking, all right, yeah, connect it and post everything to Apple and to Spotify and all that. And you just think, well, that's part of the process, isn't it? It'll sit there in the middle, in the back end of nowhere, and nobody will actually find it. But then all of a sudden, you drop onto Spotify and Apple, and you think, oh my God, that's my picture. That's me. And strangely enough, several hundred people are you thinking to start with, well, who wants to listen to me or me witter on for 10 minutes about random stuff. But yeah, we got to the stage where we were almost like logging into the platform every half an hour to go, oh, there's been some more downloads, there's some more downloads. And we're up to hundreds now. We're not quite at the thousands of level that you're at yet, but we are, working towards it. But it's like, oh my God, Apple, I've made it.
What was the determining factor? I know we've spoken about it. What was kind of off camera? What was your decision? What was the real crux? Right, I'm going to do a podcast. What was the reason behind why you wanted to do the podcast?
Well, we're sort of trying to develop the whole brand, isn't it, and the fun element of it, and as part of we're looking at. There's a book I'm writing as well, and all this sort of stuff sitting on the background, and we thought, right, well, I'd never considered it to start with. It just didn't appear on my radar, and I thought this, I'm going to need big production facilities, I'm going to need big budgets, I'm going to need a team of people to do all of this stuff. And actually, when we started working together, and you took us through the stages, I think we did about once a fortnight, didn't we? We did set this up, start with the intros, do that out. Yeah, actually, when you took yourself through that process, it wasn't anywhere near as big a job as I ever thought it was going to be. And then it sits nicely alongside all the other marketing that we're doing to sort of build the brand. So it was. And so when we did some research, because you said to me first, right, go and have a look, right, who's talking about this sort of subject on, or I'm going to have a look and see what they're doing. And I was having a look, and some of them, within a few minutes, I'd nodded off. I can see I'm a bit hyper like you, so somebody sitting there almost looking like they're reading from a book, going, well, you need to press this and you need to do that. And then there was an hour's interview with somebody else. Then I thought, no, there's definitely, I think, a bit of a market that says, right, as part of the fun element of, even though there's obviously a very serious element to what we do, because we're working with a lot of companies to help them to generate business, especially when it's been such a tough 12 months to do all of that. But it's just been it's just been fun, and the interaction that we're getting. I must say, it so quickly has really quite surprised me. But yeah.
So you're currently kind of in the midst of recording season 1, which is all about that LinkedIn ninjas and your profile and kind of how you can make sure that you're speaking to the right people, you're connecting to the right people. What's your thought then for upcoming seasons? How are you going to tweak it? What's your plan? Have you thought that far ahead, or are you just kind of going, right, I'm doing this 10, 15, and then I'm going to have to review?
No, I think we've got 2 or 3 threads that we've now decided we're going to work on. So we've almost got a what's called a logical thread to take you through, right? You need to build your visibility. How do you build visibility? And then we're looking at building credibility. So the element of building credibility is around the content and how you engage with people, how do you get lots of views and likes, and you can get business that way. And then the opportunity of how do you reach out to people. So that's the sort of the technical side, but that's very much related back to standard marketing practices. So, right, how do you grab somebody's attention? How do you engage with them? How do you write? How do you put embedded messages in? How do you put strong call to action? So we've got that element. But then what we started to do now is, so the team are getting involved and external people to add extra elements. So, all right, we've got all the learning, we've got the application, we've got, right, and we try to make sure on the podcast that we actually say, right, here's why you need to do it, because it will give you this, and then here's what you actually need to go and do. So we tell you what to do, why you need to do it, why it's important, and then if you get stuck, you can come and give us a shout and we'll help you do it. But I think now with with the interaction of the team coming on board, and I'm going, come on, guys, you're a specialist in this, you're a specialist in that. Right, let's have a chat through that. Just a little element. So it might be, right, somebody might say to me, what do you have a company page for? What's the point? So we have it for this reason, for this. This is how you do it. This is how you set it up, and this is what you need to do with it. And that's it. So you've got that little bite-size chunk. Because I don't know about you, my concentration span isn't huge.
No, same here.
You know what I mean? So I would rather have small bite-sized bits that I can just jump into every now and again. That say, right, I've got a journey. So these are all the different things I need to do in order to get more business through the LinkedIn platform. But then here's other elements of different things that are involved in marketing, and we're bringing different marketing professionals in as well as the team to talk around those. But as you said right from the start, the concept is make sure that you are adding value. We don't sell on it. I know you probably should, but but we have a chat about stuff. Right, here's what you need to do. Right, here's why you need to do it. Give us a shout. But no, we just have a bit of fun.
I think that's the point, right? The thing is that you're not selling; you are giving this away for free in terms of your insight, knowledge, and your expertise. It's wonderful, really, mate. Because you go back 5-6 years, and it was all hard sell, right?
Yeah.
Nobody would ever consider giving out free content or free information such as what you're doing right now. So, kudos to you and the guys. And I've been very fortunate to listen to them. I think that's the right word, fortunate, to listen to your podcast and be involved in it. And honestly, mate, while Ella is just, you can tell it's very authentic, it's very you and the team there, and anybody out there, I highly recommend, get in touch with Ian, find him on LinkedIn down the bottom there. I'm still getting used to these cameras. And then listen to his podcast. And look, Ian, we spoke about kind of the benefits of podcasting in terms of getting your message out there and, lead generation. And I know that wasn't the main reason you were doing it. You wanted to get out there and get your name out there. But what other advantages do you see? Because you're a business guru, right? You know your stuff. What other advantages, apart from like podcasting being completely flexible? So people like you and me, you have. We've probably got a less of attention span than a fish, right? It's just great that you can kind of tune in when you want and you can stop it and start it when you want. But maybe from a business side, what other benefits do you see podcasting bringing to the wider business or audience out there, particularly when you consider the state of the world? And I don't want to say the C word, but the state of the world that we're in right now, right?
Yeah, well, it was an interesting conversation we had around this, wasn't it, a few months ago, that said, all right, podcasting, so many different things you can do with it. And then we started, I remember chatting about, employee engagement, internal communication. There's a lot of stats out there that say what the level of engagement is within a business, but, to get that communication going out, internal notifications going out. We chatted about that the other week, and I thought, what a great idea, wasn't it, to be able to have a communication medium that can go through the entire business, so that different people can get their messages out through the business. People feel better communicated. All right, yeah, with everything going on in the world, with the remote working, with coming back into the offices, with having to deal with challenges that we've obviously never had to deal with, and we've had to adapt quicker. So communication, isn't it, making people feel more part of the team? That never even dawned on us, did it, to start with, that we could be doing stuff like that, as in internal communication, not just putting it out there. I mean, some people do the podcast just for themselves, isn't it, and just having a bit of fun. But from a business point of view, it builds your brand. It shows you're a bit unique, as you said. It puts your authenticity out there. We often think that, all right, we don't sit there in a professional studio. We sit there and just record the things, and pretty much you're thinking, oh my God, this is going to take me, because I remember doing YouTube videos years ago, and you'd start it, you'd stop it, you'd mess it up, you'd not do the script, and 40 takes later, you were still trying to record the bloody YouTube video, weren't you? But when you're doing it in more of a sort of an authentic conversational sort of style, I think everyone that we've done, it's always the first take. All right, we might slip up on the odd bit, but so what? That's just what it is. But we've got our objectives, we know what we're talking about, and we just have a chat, and we make sure that we bring that stuff out. And there's so many different aspects that you would not have normally, I think, thought of using podcasting within a business.
Yeah, and I know we spoke about employee engagement, and we spoke about kind of business awareness, but a couple more that have come up recently, and these are ones I'd never thought of, were recruitment. Right? Imagine how easy it would be. Well, easy, I don't know if it's the right word, but how different it would be if you could listen to a potential candidate for a role rather than just read their CV. Right? It changes the dynamic, in my opinion. And then the second one. It's more about manuals, right? So imagine onboarding into a large company where you have a manual that you have to read through, whether that's digital or in book form. For those people, there are still books out there. It's not just all audio. There are books out there. But imagine now popping all that information on a podcast that then the person can then just access when they want to say, oh, actually, this is the bit I need to listen to, so I can listen to that. It's just really is endless, and I'm super excited, and it's just a wonderful place to be right now. The world in general.
Like it is like you said, whatever's going off in the world is what's going off. We can only change how we deal with it, and I think things like this, and especially getting your team involved in doing it. Different departments can do it, and as you said, once you've set it up, once you've set your intro and outro up, and you write that this department's going to do a 5 or 10 minutes on this week. It's not and the investment into it. All right, there's an investment to get going, isn't it? Just to get your intros and outros and your stuff put together. But as we said before, the actual ongoing investment onto once you've got your podcast set up is minimal. The time involved is minimal, but you get this really professional, authentic podcast series out there.
Yeah.
And it's it's really quite. I think I think we do about 5 at a time, and then we get different people to say chatting on it and doing it, and then we just literally we send it off, because we don't bother adding the intros and outros because they're all done, all the artwork. It just goes off to somebody, and then 48 hours later it all comes back, and it's all done.
And then you post it.
And it's all, right? They post it, and then you post it and think, well, is that it? And then you share it across the media, and all right, we've got to start doing some additional stuff to market it, because I'm conscious that we're doing it, but we need to be sort of like, what you do with some little videos to introduce it, to get to promote it a little bit more. So Absolutely. Just need to get the message out there a bit more.
I tell you what though, mate. So there's a couple of things. The first thing is one of the first questions I get asked by clients is, um, how do we prepare a script? And my response is, well, you don't prepare a script, right? Because I think that was the conversation that you, me, and a member of your team had. Was we script it? And I was like, don't script it. Have an outline by all means. And I think you guys had like 15 or 12 steps, right? So you had a plan for the first 15 episodes, but don't script it, because the moment you script it, it just loses all its authenticity, right?
Exactly. I think we have some little prompts on each one, because we know what the sort of format of each session is. Bit of an introduction, right, and then an overview, right? What's the objective of this? What are the key points we want to get across, so we make sure people are getting the maximum amount of value? And then part of us we'll do a wrap up at the end, just to refresh. Right, here's what we've covered. Here's what you need to do, and then that's how we sort of close it. So we've got our own little formula now that we think works, because like I say, it's adding value. It's making it fairly clear what you need to do. It's focusing on just one thing on that podcast.
Exactly.
And then making sure that people know what to do.
You're doing it right, and you're doing it right, and you're also now getting the consistency, right? You're kind of posting it on a weekly basis, which is great, mate. Which is great.
And I thought, well, weekly. Am I gonna have the time to do a weekly podcast? But actually, like you said before, now it's so systemized. Do 5 or 6 at a time, because the idea is that you do your work, you decide what you're going to talk about, isn't it? You get your objectives, you record a stack of them all at once.
Exactly.
You send them off to our guy that tops and tails and does all the the levels, because every now and again, when we get a bit carried away, we start drifting away from the microphone, or then we start going off on something random, and then he takes all them bits out and cuts it all up for us, so it looks really professional. And it costs next to nothing to get it done.
It's amazing, right?
It's a small investment, yeah.
Like you said at the start, there's a small investment to kind of get your hosting platform up and your artwork and your intros and outros. But then after that, the investment is really the time. And if you're looking at maybe 30, 40 minutes a week to get your message out there, to create something authentic, and whether that's employee engagement, lead generation, sharing your story, whatever it may be, I think it's a worthwhile investment, right? And it just carries the authenticity, right?
Definitely, because not just, there's so many different areas that it does benefit, and it has opened my eyes, and I must say I was really quite surprised as to the different things that it does. It's not just a podcast going out; it's the team getting involved. It's the whole process. So it helps us internally as well, and then it helps us build the brand and get the message out there as well, and then exciting logging in every day on my phone to go, right, how many downloads have I got today? How many downloads have I got today? I'll catch that bugger up. I'll get all that, as many as he can.
I'll always remember the conversation we had about so where we went, so initially we did it where we had it right. So let's do something about helping individuals set their podcast up, whether they want to talk about looking after spiders, true crime, or baking, right? Those were the first conversations we had. And then we went, what about businesses? And then we spoke about a couple of businesses. And I remember it clearly about 8 weeks ago. We're on a call and we went, what about employee engagement? And the moment you said that, we both went, holy crap, this could be huge.
I think we used the word that we obviously wouldn't be able to use on this, but
too early. But yeah, it began with an S and ended in a T. Yeah, but
because nobody, as far as I know, nobody else really does that. But it just seems such a logical, obvious thing to do, because there's so many different aspects. It's not just producing, like I said, the podcast. It's the whole. There's so many other things that sit alongside it as well.
I think you made a really salient point about getting the team involved. Whether you got a team of 5, whether you got a team of 500 or 5,000, you can involve people in terms of creating the podcast, deciding what elements you want to talk about. Because I know we spoke about kind of employee engagement, but it doesn't always have to be about performance. You could do a series of different podcasts talking about baking, book club, mental health, whatever it may be, and those can be owned by different people within the organization who can just do it for themselves, right? So Yeah, man, it's huge. We've had a wonderful note from Gareth Williams. Gareth Williams said this is a fab idea and the benefits seem endless. Gareth, we both agree with you.
Gareth,
thank you very much.
A star. I know. I was only just thinking. That's why I said I sent the link over to Gareth, because Gareth is a poet as well, and I've been seeing some of his stuff on Facebook.
Oh.
He needs to be the podcast poet, if there isn't one already. There you go, Gareth. Off you go, mate.
We've already created the hashtag for him. We can create the podcast for him as well. Yeah, wonderful,
Gareth. It out.
I've seen
his stuff on Facebook. He's very, very talented guy. Yes.
Excellent. Mate, you've given up your Friday. I know is it still cold in the UK? What's the weather like today?
Of course it is. I mean, we literally, it's like a snowstorm 1 minute and the sun comes out 5 minutes later. So we're having some very crazy weather this week.
Crazy weather. Listen, mate, thank you so much. For those guys out there, please get in touch with Ian. He is a wonderful guy, and not just because he knows his stuff. He's a genuine human being, and he's just a great guy. Ian, I want to give you 30, 60 seconds of shameless self-plug before we kind of end the live stream. So what's, you're obviously, you're on LinkedIn. What other platforms, or what's the best way for people to get in touch with you and the team? Go for it, mate. It's all yours.
Okay. So
take it away.
If you need any help and advice, we very much, on Pay It Forward, we do a lot of free training, we do free workshops, because, it's such a great platform out there. It's a misunderstood platform. So if you just need some help, give us a shout. We'll do what we can to help you. But then what the focus of the Ninjas is, we will actually do it for you. So if you need a lead generation strategy that will focus B2B, that will target very specific people on LinkedIn, engage with them authentically until they come back in and go, yeah, I'm really interested, let's have a chat. And I think part of the core values of what we do, we're authentic. We even give people free trials. People are only in month-by-month contracts, because that makes us different. That means that we have a vested interest in making sure as a LinkedIn agency that you get the results, because otherwise you're not going to stop with us. So you see how that ties into our sort of core values of, people often talk about, integrity as a core value and all that, but they don't really know what it means, or they don't really do it. I think only in your actions and your behaviors does it show how authentic you are. So if you just connect with us, there's bits of content going out, podcasts going out every week. Let us know what you think, or anything you'd like us to cover. We're open for that. But thank you very much. Always a pleasure. Never a chore, Mr. Paul.
You're a star, mate. You're a star. So one last thing, again, just remind the audience out there, what's your podcast called? And it's across Apple and Spotify, right?
It's Ninja Marketing. Ninja Marketing in 10 minutes.
There we go. Perfect. Ian, thank you so much, mate. Get well. Get rid of that little frog in your throat,
where that's come from, yes.
Gareth, thank you so much for your support, mate. Really appreciate your comments, and hopefully we'll get you on the next live stream with Ian, and we can maybe do a panel discussion or something.
That'll be entertaining.
All right.
If you think I can talk, wait till you, Gareth.
Audience members, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful Friday. Have a great rest of your weekend. Take care, everyone. Thanks, Ian.
Cheers, everybody. Bye then. Bye-bye.